Hello Internet, Brian here for Work to Game, and today we're going to be going over the Dun Scythe, pretty much boss guide, general overview, tips and tricks, call it whatever you will. We're going to be breaking down the different boss fights, trying to give you the best information that you can, so when you go into this raid, you're going to, feel a little bit confident in what's going on. So the first boss we're going to come up against is Death Gaze. He's a classic Final Fantasy boss, and he's really actually one of the coolest fights that I've seen in a long time, primarily based on the fact that there is no trash before you get to him. Now, he does have the ability to knock you off the airship, but you can be revived. Now, the first thing you're going to see is Void Death. It's this giant thing in the circle. It's going to constantly pull you in. What you want to try to avoid is being in it when it goes off. You'll see him charging up for that big ability. Occasionally you're going to see green little arrows. You just want to spread those out around away from other people. It's going to drop tornadoes that are going to be persistent on the field. It's going to start charging up for Void Blizzard 3. Just avoid it and you'll be fine. Then you'll see him do Void Arrow 3, and this is going to put a big tornado-esque thing in the center, which will do a knockback. Later incarnations will have him also putting out a dot that you need to keep an eye out for. Doom will be applied out to various people. You can, as a healer, cure that off and remove that from whoever gets doomed. Again, you'll see Void Death, which will continue to pull you back. And so you just want to run away from it. Bolt of Darkness is his ability that will apply a dot. He's going to couple this up with Arrow 3 at some point. So you just want to be on the opposite end of the field when he does that. So now he's going to start doing Blizzard 4. You're going to see kind of meteor-esque placements on the field, and your natural inclination is to run away. But you do need to get back to those blizzard areas, because with Arrow 4, he's going to push you off. One of the last mechanics that he's going to be doing is putting out these big squares on the ground. He's going to keep placing them over and over the field, and they're not going to hurt you until he does a special ability, which is going to set them off. It's important when you see them interacting outside of just the standard view to get out of the way. Now, he does have an enrage, and this is what it looks like right here. If the fight's going too long, you're going to see all of the field being blocked up, and he's going to be doing an ability called Void Death 4. This is going to have each of the squares trigger off, so there's no safe place to be, so you're just going to have to restart the fight. But at this point, you've pretty much seen all the mechanics that the fight has to offer. Just rinse and repeat, cure through any doom, do as much damage as you possibly can, try not to get knocked off, and defeat the boss. Enjoy your win, and move on to boss number 2. So boss number 2 being Ferdinand, you guys remember him from the obviously Andapur series, and being a part of the Void Sen, he is obviously, I guess, a minion or a culprit, or we've seen him in the cutscenes before, but whatever you say about him, he's a jester, I guess sometimes in the vein of Kefka, but whatever you can do. So it's a pretty straightforward fight. There's a lot you need to know about him. So he's going to mark random players with a red target over their head, and in that case, you're going to want to get away from the group because it's going to leave those spinning swords just lying around. He's then going to do this ability called Wormhole, and Wormhole being one of the primary mechanics of the fight. So you're going to see either a yellow, let's just call it an orb, or a blue orb. You're also going to see some portals shaped like Atmos that those orbs are going to go into. So blue goes to blue, yellow goes to yellow. Now, the orb color is important because blue is you're going to have to spread out, but yellow, like you see on the screen, is going to go into the portal and it's going to come out, and it's going to be a donut. So for yellow, you want to stack up on it, and it happens really quick. So you need to be paying attention, because as soon as it goes through and pops out, pretty much it's going to activate. So if you see blue, you want to spread out. If you see yellow, you want to stack. He's got his ability, his tank buster, Jongler's X, which is going to hit the tank pretty hard. And about this time, he's going to start putting these little dots on the field. Running through them is going to change their color from blue to red, and vice versa, so they're acting as switches. You're going to have a debuff on you that's either going to be like water or blue, and if you have that, you want to turn them red. Otherwise, if you have fire, which would look more red, you're going to want to turn those things blue. This is going to be very difficult for large groups, especially if you don't know that mechanic, as it will be easy to turn them on and off. You'll see them count down in the debuffs, so you know how many are still stacking and go from there. Around this time, he's also going to summon some Atmos in the center. They're going to kind of blast out a little radius, and you're going to see his ad phase pop up. So you obviously want to burn down the ads. It's pretty straightforward. Just keep doing it. You're going to see line AoEs litter the field, as well as various circle AoEs, so you do your best not to stand in bad. Healers cure through it. Watch for the raid wide half of the room AoE and try not to stand in that. And you're going to see this repeat as you continue to burn down the ads. More Atmos in the center and more raid wide AoE covering half the arena. With the ad phase completed, he's going to charge up, do his big move, heal your way through it, and then continue to DPS. For us, this was around 60% of his life, and also be, again, paying attention to the portals. In this case, we've got a blue and a yellow. So yellow, go to yellow, make sure you stand in the donut. Blue, get the heck away. Otherwise, you're going to see people drop like flies. Around this time, he's going to start using an ability called Blackfire. So you're going to see those big circle AoEs continue to charge up and get bigger and bigger and bigger until they explode around the room. So from a healing perspective, be sure to keep an eye out for his tank buster. Make sure you keep your tank up throughout this. DPS perspective, continue to do as much damage as possible. And tanks, try to use your cooldowns to mitigate that. Here's where you're also going to see a stacking mechanic. You've seen this before numerous times. Group together to mitigate the damage. Heal through it. If you haven't seen it already, you might start seeing it now. Flamethrow, just raid-wide AoE. Try to mitigate and heal as much as possible. Nice little healing check for everybody out there. Then he's just going to repeat some abilities, obviously Wormhole, so keep an eye out for the color of the orb as well as the destination for those. And be sure to stack up appropriately or get the heck away. At this point, you've pretty much seen all the mechanics that he has to offer. Continue to DPS and heal your way through and get prepared to move on to the next boss. Entering into the arena this time is Queen Scaith. We have been teased by her, I guess, presence through this whole time. So this is the third fight and essentially probably one of the most difficult fights in the raid, depending on how you do against the last boss, which we'll talk about as soon as we get there. So around 90%, Queen Scaith is going to start using an ability called 30 Arrows. Just some various AoEs that she's going to place down on the ground. Just try to avoid it. Now she's going to use this ability called Shade Spin. You're going to see her arms fly out and they're going to go basically to the left and right of her. So it's important that you stand at her backside so you don't get hit by that AoE. She's going to teleport around the arena and then she's going to do a big old AoE circle. It kind of tries to suck you in, so when you see her teleport like that, best run away. She's going to color the floor, and when she does this, you don't want to move. You can still do your actions and abilities, but just don't run around. Her ability 30 Souls pretty much is next. It's going to just do raid-wide AoE damage. Just do your best, heal through it, you should be fine. She's going to drop, obviously type Meteor-esque abilities, which is just going to blast the room, so just do your best to run around it. Now at this time, she's going to have an ad, Conal. You're going to need the op tank to pick up the ad, and then DPS needs to burn this ad down quick. This ad has to die. No buts about it. You're going to see some repeated abilities, 30 arrows, laying some AoE damage down on the floor. So here she's going to pick on one particular person and is going to continue to drop these orb-like devices. It's going to wipe anybody who it hits, so you just have to be very careful. Essentially what you want to look at is trying to tank it around the circle without running it into anybody, and almost to the point where if you're going to run it in through people, best that you die. It hits hard, green, which is just kind of a straight line from where she's facing, much like her arms on the backside. Around this time, Some shadow limbs are going to spawn, and they're going to tether to various players. The player who's tethered can still use actions, but do not move while tethered. DPS need to burn down the limbs for you. Now at some point around 43-44%, she's going to go to the center of the room and cocoon herself. She's then going to summon various adds. It's in your best interest to burn down these adds as quickly as possible. Doing so can pretty much wipe the raid. Now after a few rounds of adds, you're going to see the Shadow Court Hound, essentially a giant chimera, pop in. This chimera has every ability that a chimera normally has, so he can paralyze you if you're not careful. It's important actually to focus in on the gestures at this point and then return to the chimera as long as you're able to do so. It's important to get these gestures down. We went and took out the chimera first, but sometimes that ends up pushing it pretty quickly. So as long as you're able to get the gestures down, you should be able to survive her blinding shadow ability that she executes after the add phase, which is just room-wide, giant, massive amounts of damage. So as a healer, try to mitigate as much as possible, heal through it. Now with that out of the way, you've pretty much seen every mechanic that Gothic is going to throw at you. So at this point, just continue to rinse and repeat based off of what she's doing at the time. So you've seen it all, just make sure that you stay alert, keep healing, keep damage dealing, and go from there. With her finally defeated, you can move on to the fourth and final boss of the raid. Hello Diablo, our old friend. We've come to battle with you again. Sorry, I couldn't resist. So Diablos, or Diabolos, however you want to pronounce it, is the final or fourth and final boss of the Scaith raid. He's got several mechanics, and so I'm going to try to break them down for you one by one. Nightmare, you obviously get the eye you want to turn, otherwise he's going to put you to sleep, and that's no bueno. His ultimate terror ability is going to be a circle AoE ability that goes around him. You just want to make sure that you're not standing in it. It's quite large, so just keep that in mind when that's going on. So he's also going to then summon various doors. So unlike the first time we fought Diablos, you want to burn down these doors as quickly as possible. This becomes more of a DPS check than anything. Watch his Nightmare, make sure you're turned around, and continue to heal and DPS as needed. Around 68-69%, he's going to start charging up Ruinous Omen. This is going to be a raid-wide massive amount of damage, so stack up, heal through, damage mitigate as much as possible, and survive. He's going to do a group stacking mechanic, so you just want to gather together and mitigate the damage as a group. Watch out for Ultimate Terror, he's going to follow that up, so you just want to make sure you're standing out of it. So around 39, 38, 40%, he's going to summon this giant door pretty much in the center of the arena. This is going to be a DPS check phase, and the good news is burning this down, even if you wipe after this phase, you won't have to repeat this phase again. So healers, there's not going to be much that you need to heal through, so just do as much damage, switch to your cleric stance, and throw out some damage on the door as possible. The door's got several, lives that you have to get through, so you're going to need to keep burning it down. It's going to keep healing itself, so keep burning it down. Any adds that pop along with this, you want to continue to burn down those as well. And with that, that kind of completes this phase. Again, you won't have to come back to it if you wipe at this point going forward. But now this is where the true second half of the fight, or essentially the real fight, begins with Diabolos. He's going to use the Nullstone to summon either the body of Queen Scaith or Queen Scaith herself into himself and thus power him up even further. So you can see that he's going to do that knockback, but his life bar is full up, so get ready to go. So the new improved Diablos has a new tank buster, Hallowed Commando, which is going to really hurt the tank. He's going to auto attack, and as the fight goes on, that's going to get more and more frequent. You can see that he's got the Shade Blast from Queen Scaith, so he's going to just target somebody and kind of do a blast. Make sure you're not standing in that. Again, healers, keep an eye out for tank busters. Shade Thrust is going to, again, do a big massive amount of damage. It's going to hit everybody in its path, So he's going to kind of rotate and cycle this. So tanks, be sure to watch and manage your cooldowns appropriately to help mitigate any of that damage that's going to be coming your way. So just like Queen Scaith, you're going to see those orbs dropping all over the place. Again, you can see clearly it's going to knock you out if you get hit by them. So just keep an eye out if you get marked. Run away from the group. If you see those orbs are coming, get out. He's going to summon meteors that are going to fall down around the arena and go from there. Now, at this point, the Diabolic Gates are going to kind of pop. A tank and some DPS want to run into the Diabolic Gate, which is going to be in the center. Everybody else wants to then DPS the Death Gates that are around the ring. The Diabolic Gate is going to have some adds in it, so that's why you want a tank to go in to pick up the adds, and then you want the DPS to burn them. We didn't need to send any healers in there, so it was pretty straightforward. And then if there's any adds that make it out of the Death Gates, please be sure to burn them down as well. So he's got Nightmare, so make sure you turn, look away, and not get put to sleep. Now keep an eye for those marks and those purple circles. You want to make sure that you're nowhere near these orbs. They have a large radius for AoE, and you can see taking those into the group was not the best of ideas. Now during that, he's going to have an eye pop up, and it's going to be important that you turn away, lest you're going to get doomed. It's very easy to miss, and you can see that clearly. I did not realize I had Doom on me. With 2 healers down, we definitely required being re-resed by the other Alliance members. So it's just important to keep an eye out, especially if you're in an Alliance, to make sure you're also watching the other healers' bars, so that way you can kind of try to keep the whole rate up as well. For meteors, just make sure you go run and stand in the circles, and you should be good to go. Now, if you haven't seen it up to this point, he's going to teleport to the center and have an ability called Earthshaker. He's going to mark various targets with little items over their head, and then he's going to blast out in the direction of those targets. It's very important that you don't stand between him and the targets that are marked. He's going to do this several times. So anytime you see him teleport, especially when he's below 30%, he's going to be doing that. And also at this time, as well as probably a little bit earlier, little orbs are going to be going out. They have a wide range of damage that when they hit, they're going to explode and kill pretty much and hurt everybody that's pretty much there. It's important that as best you can, you use any kind of limit breaks to be able to bring any of the raid groups back from the brink. At this, with a little luck, a little skill, you're going to do just fine. So that's going to get you your clear for Dun Scaith. Congratulations, enjoy your loot, and have a fantastic day. So for Work to Game, this has been Brian. This is our Dun Scaith guide. Please let us know in the comments below if we missed anything or if you have any other questions, and we'd be happy to answer them for you. I also want to take this time to say a special thanks and shout out to Valen for tanking, as well as for Kite for joining me and helping guide me through the dungeon for my first time and my clear. So thanks very much for helping me, and thanks for watching this video, everybody. Thanks, and have a fantastic day. Take care.